Welcome to Real Conversations, Zoom edition. Real people, real talk about real everyday issues, or actually just one issue, COVID 19. Today, we're just going to talk about that. I'm still interviewing people all around the world to see what the experience is like with COVID 19. And today, we're going to interview Atlee. She's from New York, and she's going to share how she's been doing with quarantine. Hi, Atlee. Thank you for joining us.
Hey.
Hey. Huh? Your boyfriend? Hello.
There he goes.
So someone is leaving.
I was like, I'm getting on the phone. He's going on a walk, I think.
Yeah. I see and hear you perfect. Nice.
Yeah, you look great. I'm like, you look nice. I was actually going to wear real clothes, but then I was like, I should just be how I actually am these days.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, make it honest, make it truthful.
Yeah.
So how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I mean, today I watch the press conferences with our governor, Andrew Cuomo, every morning at 11. And I don't know, he's just so good at being like honest and firm with us, but also just making sure that everybody focuses on the silver lining, of this time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been making me feel better. I mean, now it's just a waiting game, what they say, we have 2 to 3 more weeks until it starts getting really bad here in New York.
Yeah.
So
Do you think he exaggerates everything and panics the most so we get all the ventilators and
I don't think he's exaggerating because just of how dense New York is, like just by the sheer numbers of how many people we have here, and how many hospital beds. If you do the math, I did the math myself, and we don't have nearly enough beds if as many people are getting sick actually get sick. And now what he said this morning is that the virus is actually spreading every 3 days. The virus spreads 2 times faster than it was spreading before.
oh wow.
And it's been doing that for the last week, I guess. So he's not exaggerating, unfortunately. It's just literally the facts.
Mm-hmm. No, I was thinking that was just talking to my boyfriend today about this in the morning. So he cares a lot about our state, which is great and beautiful. So he's testing more people as much as possible to show highest numbers possible.
Yeah.
So we get all the equipment from all our states now to New York.
Yeah.
But other states are, I feel other states also facing the same.
Yeah, they are. They're just not going to face it as quickly as we will because just per the number of people. So it's it's obviously so sad and frightening, no matter where you live, especially for people that have family members that are immune compromised or elderly, etc. But like he was saying this morning, it's sort of a matter of we just have to send them where the need is greatest first, and then go from there. And he was saying, I will literally, once we don't need our healthcare workers, I will, whoever will volunteer, I will get them on planes or trains or buses or whatever and ship them down to California or LA or wherever else they need to go. But he's just, from all the scientists that he's speaking to, I guess they're telling him, we're going to be bad in 2 weeks.
I think his popularity, as you said, because he's so honest and at the same time calm and doing the best for New York he can, I feel his popularity is growing rapidly. And I heard talks that he should run for president.
I'm like, why didn't he run for president? I was actually discussing this with my boyfriend's uncle, who's really, really intelligent, really smart. He's a Democrat, but he's also bipartisan. He doesn't care as long as you're doing the right thing. And he was explaining to us a little bit about Cuomo's history, and he said the reason why people don't like Cuomo so much is because Cuomo, he's a Democrat, but he also doesn't really care. He's willing to take money from Republicans or Democrats or independents or whoever, socialists, in order to get what he thinks is right done. So it's kind of interesting because he doesn't have that many fans with Democrats and he doesn't have that many fans with Republicans in the political system because he doesn't really give a shit. It's kind of nice, and that's sort of what we need, you know?
I agree. I think it's the opposite is great because nothing is black and white. Nothing is one direction. Yeah.
No, and he said that in a few of his press conferences. He's like, I don't care like who I get this from. I just need it, you know? Like he's very like, I don't know. I like him. I like him now.
That's what I've heard from people, that everybody is like, oh, Como, why don't he run for president?
No, at least he can string together a sentence.
Yeah. Oh.
Ugh.
Well, let's see. So tell me, how are you how are you doing on quarantine? What are you doing now at home? How long you've been sitting in the house?
Okay, so my story is kind of interesting because I actually had a severe back injury that I was suffering from since I was 17, but for the last 3 years, it got really bad. And over the last year, I had to quit my job. I was a server in a restaurant, so in restaurants for many years. And I love that job. I mean, you can make tons of money and you can control your own life, and I loved it, you know. But unfortunately, when I moved here in August, by the time it was September, I was like limping. I couldn't walk. I was like limping home from work. I was like trying not to cry in the middle of my shift because I was in so much pain. So long story long, I applied for Medicaid. After 3 months, I was approved for Medicaid, which was this whole crazy process. And then I got my surgery on February 19th. But before that, I wasn't really walking. So I was staying in the house mostly. Even walking just one New York City block was really, really painful for me. So I weirdly been doing this quarantine thing for like months. And I was out of work for months, and I was feeling intense financial stress and anxiety and insecurity, and I was feeling intense FOMO from everybody living their lives. And
does it feel a little bit better for you that the whole world is in your shoes right now?
Yes. What I was gonna say is I weirdly feel much more calm, which I know that sounds like a little fucked up, but I just feel now that we're all on the same page, now that the world has kind of joined me in my quarantine situation, I'm like, oh, welcome. Like, nice to see you. Thank God you're here. I've been alone. Like, so it's actually made me feel a little bit more calm.
Yeah. I feel it's also when you're stuck in the house, when you're even sick with cold and everybody else is living life, working, you feel like you're missing on something. And New York is so bad with that, to be honest. It's constant parties, events, networking events. And you, even if you're doing your life, even if you're working and going out, meeting people, you still feel constantly that you're missing on something else. Even when we watch TV, I'm like, maybe I should be watching something else more interesting. Like, I'm not gonna know that TV show. So now being on quarantine, first time in my life, I feel like I'm not missing on anything. Like it's like,
and it's really nice. And you know what it's I think teaching people, and I talked to my friend last night on the phone, and you know, everyone's saying, you know, we're just connecting with our friends more and calling family more and doing all these things that we should have been doing in the first place. And we probably could have made time for before this. But now we have the excuse, so we're doing it. But she was just talking about how she's been really focusing on just her inner life, and quite literally her inner life of like her 4 walls of her apartment, because we're, you know, basically all on lockdown, but also her inner life inside, and not focusing at all on the outer life. And she said that's been really enjoyable. So I feel like if there's a way after this that we can kind of keep that going, to focus more on just what is going on in my life and my immediate, and how is that making me feel, you know? And if it's not making me feel great, change it. But the comparison thing is a problem. And now we have no one, we're like all doing the same thing. So there's no one to compare yourself to, which is kind of nice.
That is nice. Yeah. It is scary what's going to happen after quarantine. Maybe people will go more crazy in work and socializing, or it can go the other way. Like, I guess depends how long we're going to stay. but it can go the other way around.
I know. I was thinking this morning, will people like wake up and quit their jobs because they realize I don't like this job. This isn't what I want to be doing with my life. This doesn't feel good. I want to be home with my kids. I want to have time to call my mom. I want to do all these things. Or are we going to be so stressed out by the fact that we have been out all this money and that we're just going to scramble? I really hope it's the first. I really hope it's the first one, but we'll see.
Yeah, it can be the other way around also, because after it happened one time, before this, I thought it will never happen in New York. Come on, it's New York.
Yeah.
Nothing ever gonna happen like that. Close New York, that everybody's sitting in the house, but
Oh,
not like, oh, it's possible.
yeah.
I should think about it.
Yeah.
Maybe 10 years or 20 years, it's gonna happen again.
Oh, yeah, I think for sure. I think this is just a honestly, sadly, or just realistically, this is a tiny glimpse into the way that we're going to be having to live our lives, moving forward, and not this intense all the time, but I think after this we're going to see a lot more like laws and regulations put in place for like cleanliness and just the health of the populace. Like we'll have more responsibilities, just like after 9/11 we had more responsibilities going to the airport, we had more responsibilities traveling. So I think we're going to definitely have more responsibilities for public health after this, for sure.
What would you say bothers you the most right now about the COVID-19? I mean, like, what do you care for the most? Like, is it people, health, food? Like, what's in your mind in terms of concern?
So my biggest concern is finances.
Mm-hmm.
But that's been my biggest concern before this. It's a little bit less now that everybody is feeling the same, because not everyone can go bankrupt. Then we would have zero economy. So that can't happen. Mm-hmm. So that makes me feel a little better. I think my biggest fear, honestly, would be that we go through something like this that proves to all of us that we are interconnected. No matter what your beliefs are, no matter where you live, no matter what your religion is, your sexual, like, we are all connected. And if we were to come out of something like this and people did not grasp that fact, that's really scary to me.
Yeah.
I would be like, wow, we can't learn. Like, we don't have the ability to self-reflect and call ourselves out on our shit. And that would be really scary for me.
I agree with you. You just said about self-reflect, and I know you've been on quarantine much longer, but do you feel that you realized something about yourself?
Yeah, so what's also really weird is before this started, because I was struggling with, having to stay home and chronic pain and stuff, I started this 90-day challenge with myself where I had these, and it was for my mental health. People do 90-day challenges to like get abs or like lose weight or something. But I thought, why don't I try one for my mental health? So I had a bunch of different things. Every day I would have to say 5 things I'm grateful for, 1 thing I love about myself, and it couldn't be about like my physical appearance. I couldn't be like, I love my hair today. It would have to be like, I love the fact that I am kind or something,
Has it been hard to find those, or?
Oh, those are so hard. Those are so hard. Like, I can think of 5 things I'm grateful for every day, no problem. But then thinking of something I love about myself, I'm like it takes some time, which is also interesting to realize, like, that shouldn't take that much time, like,
ask your boyfriend for help.
I'm not allowed to.
What do you love about myself? Maybe I also love that about myself.
Yeah, just things. Who am I? Can you tell me who I am? Yeah, so I was doing that before, so that was forcing a lot of self-realization within myself, and I just realized some of my sort of bad habits, I guess, or the things that I do that prevent me from just being my fullest self.
Like, for example,
which are things like I will like numb myself. So everybody numbs themselves with certain things, but I'll like watch TV all night long. I'll binge it a show like all night. That was like something that not very often, but every so often, every 6 months or so, I'll like spend time doing that, or I'll stay up way too late, and just things that then prevent you from like being a functioning human within the day. And then I'll
I feel for you, but I also like, don't you think we need them sometimes
at
to
times, yeah. At times, of course, like you need a release, and I think that sometimes you do need to self numb. Sometimes things are just too much. Like right now, if your nervous system can't handle what's going on, for sure, binge watch TV shows, you know. But before this, my 90-day challenge, I was just trying to cut all those out so that I could figure out what I was really feeling. It was just an experiment. So through that, my biggest thing I realized is that I create problems that don't exist so that I don't have to be like fully vulnerable, I guess. So instead of just acting on something and just doing it and being like, we'll see what happens, I'll be like, well, I can't do this because that, and then I'll have to do this, and just living in really black and whites instead of just living in the gray, which I'm a very gray human. I don't really fit in many boxes for literally anything. So for me to try to put myself in a box, which I was trying to do so much, I had to think, why are you trying to do that? You know, like whose voices are those inside your head? Are they yours? Are they your parents? Are they a teacher's? Yeah, it's basically breaking down the stories that you tell yourself and thinking like, is that my story, or did I get that story from somebody else? And then
therapy, and my therapist always tells me that I have black and white thinking. It's always black or white. So
yep. I do that too, and it's like, why? It's so weird. I think it's a defense mechanism, you know, because the gray is scary, because the gray, we don't know what's going on there, you know. So I think that's probably the biggest thing. And that I really do, it's easy to live in fear and anxiety, you know. It's easy to just go have that be your response versus like, wow, this is a little overwhelming, but what is actually going on right now? What's actually going on right now is I'm talking to you, and I have a roof over my head, and it's a beautiful day outside, and I'm getting food delivered tomorrow to my apartment. So
who delivers food to you?
Well, Amazon Fresh usually, but they've been on a crazy, because I can't walk to the store because my back, so I have to order food. But they've been on a wait, so like I've never seen, so you can't get groceries. You have to wait on the computer to get a time slot, and they have like no food.
I was gonna say, and expect after what you ordered, it will arrive only 1/3 of that.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
Yeah. Well, there are lots of food in the store, so if you need anything, I can ship you. We have supermarket full with food. Like
you
that.
Do?
Yeah. Mine, I know it's trouble, but in the supermarket we do.
Yeah. My boyfriend's gone a few times. Our other thing is, you know, you just never know how are you helping? Are you harming by going to the store as a young person that might have it and be showing no symptoms? It's weird.
So you haven't left the house for how long?
Well, I leave the house every day for a walk because I have to go on a walk because my back, so I don't get blood clots or anything weird like that. So I go on long walks every day, but I don't go into any sort of store, or basically I try to keep, you know, distance. And so that's basically what I've been doing. Just that.
What does your day look like? What do you like now? You don't work online. You don't.
Yeah. So.
Crazy in the house.
Yeah, I know. So usually, I mean, I have so many creative projects that I'm a writer and performer and stuff. So like the other day, I spent the whole day getting all my music together because I produced an EP and an album. And anyone who makes music understands that it's like takes so long to like register your songs and get your BMI registration and then register them on all the different platforms and all that. So I spent the whole day doing that, which takes a long time. I'm basically just cleaning out my brain for all the things that I've been like, I have all this poetry that I want to do something with. I have all this music that I need to release. I have this script that I'm working on. So now I just have time to do all those things. So basically every day I just try to tackle another one of my creative projects.
It's great if you're capable to stay motivated, because I feel sometimes, no one's doing anything, the whole world stopped, let me do nothing.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's just weird because I had the practice
Uh-huh.
of doing this 6 months before this happened, that I'm kind of in a routine. I'm kind of in a flow with myself. Like I take myself to work every day.
Mhm.
And I totally get how weird and disorienting it is for people that it just happened to, because when it just happened to me, I didn't have any routine. I was so confused. I was depressed. I was so scared. So I get it. I think it's going to take people like sad, like a couple weeks to a month to be like, okay, this might not be going away for a while. Let me create some routines that feel good for me.
Do you think you developed bad routines or some bad habits while being on quarantine? I think I
Oh yeah. Hell yeah. I I stay up really late and I sleep till whenever I want. Like, which I'm like, well, I'm growing a new spine, which is true. My bone is trying to fuse, so I'm actually growing a new spine. So that's my thing that I tell myself, like, well, your spine, like, you need it, but it's a lot. That's probably my biggest like thing. I have to think if I have any more that I'm
I developed chips eating habit. I
hmm,
didn't have that one. Now I eat
yeah,
like lots of chips.
yeah. I'm trying to think when I first was quarantined myself before all this. Just yeah, I went through a time of just binging shows. Just when you're like, I don't like what's going on in my life right now. I need to just pretend I'm living in this other person's life. So
What show are you watching now?
now I'm through all my shows, but I went through after I had the surgery. It was really strange, but I guess makes sense because I was in a lot of pain. So the only stuff that I wanted to consume was like really intense documentaries about really messed up things that have happened in the world.
Uh-huh.
So some series that I think everyone needs to watch, even though they're really hard to watch. But I just feel as a citizen, it's really important that you educate yourself on what all other people are going through, so you're aware of where you sit and how you can use your privilege or your voice or whatever. So I watched The Trials of Gabriel Fernandez, which
Nice.
is on Netflix. It's a docu-series about a young little boy that was brutally murdered and tortured by his mom and his boyfriend. It's really hard to watch, but it also pulls apart some systemic problems that we have within these social systems like foster care and child protective services that really need to be looked at, and people should be aware of that. So I watched that. Then I watched The Pharmacist, which is also disturbing, but not as disturbing. Have you heard about that one?
I have heard about that one. I haven't seen it yet. Yeah.
That would be good for people to watch now, just because with every, sadly, people going to the hospital, I don't know what type of meds they're going to leave with and stuff like that. And I will just tell you, I was in the hospital for 4 days, 5 days. I was on hardcore drugs for 4 days. Right when I brought myself home, I got off all the drugs on the first day, and I still had 4 days of withdrawal symptoms like a drug addict,
That's crazy.
like cold sweats, anxiety, my heart beating really fast, chills. It was intense, and you do just want to like take another pill so you don't have to deal with these feelings. And people need to educate themselves on how scary these drugs are. So
Yeah. Definitely. I'm just thinking out loud. Do you think people need serious stuff, which will for sure make the whole world more aware, or they need some light entertainment right now, not to go, oh my God, we're in quarantine, we're dying, and then people abuse and kill each other, and then those kids, yeah, I should just kill myself right now. Why to wait? you know?
well, that's like that documentary series that I haven't brought myself to watch because it's just too intense. The one that's literally about like pandemics
Yeah,
on Netflix right now.
yeah, I saw it.
You watched it?
We started to watch, but I don't remember why we stopped. Like we got interrupted. We just started.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it depends on your personality.
Personality.
Like for me, I'm the type of person where if something's wrong, I need to see all of it. I want to see all of it so that I understand it. For
Mhm.
other people, that might be really scary and they'd prefer to not, which is totally fine. And I respect that. as well. You know, you have to check. I think you need to check in with your own anxiety levels. And if the news is just causing you too much anxiety, take a break. Maybe read an article, ask a trusted friend just to give you the highlights, but then spend your time meditating or doing what else you need to do. Because the most important part is that you just give good energy back during this time. That's the most important thing. So if you are going down a rabbit hole of like negativity and fear, probably need to switch things up, you know?
Yeah. I'm curious how it's going to be after. Do you think we're going to be afraid touching each other after for a while? Or touching things and places and
I
something
think,
we
I
have?
think, yeah, I think some people might, but then I also think that what we're going to realize is that this is the new reality. Like, we live in a world that, on a planet that is rapidly changing to try to protect herself, Mother Nature, and heal herself. And we've done a lot of damage to her. And so we are kind of a target, you know? And that's just the way that we're going to live. And I think I don't want to spend the rest of my time on the planet scared of stuff. I'd rather just try to focus on all the beautiful things that we have going on and then do my part to protect the planet as much as possible, protect other people as much as possible. There's no point in living in fear. We're all going to die anyways. It's more like, why don't you try to enjoy this day with these people the best you can?
I agree. You just said about planet protecting itself. Do you think that's what's happening? That's how this virus came? Or have you heard any funny conspiracy theories about how it happened? I've heard about aliens
Oh,
making space for them to come. I've heard about government creating the virus to kill people. I've heard about China making it on purpose to buy all the stocks.
yeah.
Have you heard any funny stories like that about why the virus is happening? I've heard the virus is not happening. That's one of the theories I heard, that
Oh, yeah,
there's
but people
no
think it's not
virus.
real. Ugh.
It's not real because, like, the question people ask is, do you know anybody who has the virus?
Right.
Nobody knows who has the virus. So the whole government put us kind of in fear at home that someone is actually sick.
Yeah, well, all they have to do is watch those videos of bodies being taken out of the hospitals in Italy, and that'll change that theory really quick. Those theories, I'm just rolling my eyes. I can't even handle that. But I've definitely heard some of the other conspiracy theories, and I am a type of person that my like motto is, all that I know is that I don't know. So I'm like, yeah, it's aliens. Yeah, probably the government. Yeah, China probably did it. You know, like, I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea. My theory, though, if I had to have a theory, would be, yeah, I think that Mother Nature is tired of what we've been doing. And I think that she's ready to kind of cleanse herself of what's been happening. I mean, we've been seeing it in just our weather, you know, we've been seeing it in the global warming crisis. We've been seeing it in the animal extinctions. And this is just another thing to, you know, maybe in my view, to maybe protect herself. But I don't know, you know?
Yeah. Well, maybe one day we will find out, maybe not. But I also think it's Mother Nature.
Yeah, I mean, I think as
fabricated.
humans we need to, I also hope that we really are humbled by this, you know, like, we need to get humble. We need to.
I was going to ask you, what would be your advice to people going through COVID-19?
For one, I would say just take deep breaths and really value the fact that you are able to take deep breaths. Yeah. Because what's interesting to me about this whole thing is it's a respiratory disorder or disease. And I think we are a society, I think we are a planet that's forgotten how to breathe. I think we forgot how to breathe. And in a weird spiritual way, I know this is really woo-woo for a lot of people, but I think that the universe is like, y'all need to breathe. And if you don't know how, like, I'm going to show you how hard it is when you can't.
Yeah.
you know? So I think if we can all just take a deep breath every day and be grateful for that, like, that's something. But I also really would like people to be really honest with themselves. Like I said before, all these boundaries that you put up, they don't exist. I'm sorry. They don't exist. No matter what neighborhood you live in, what your zip code is, what wall you put up, what language you speak, what religion you have, nature doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, I agree.
And
That's
you shouldn't either.
one of the most beautiful things I've heard. Like, really, really, really thank you, especially about the breath. We did forget how to breathe.
We forgot how to breathe. I saw this one tweet that was like, I feel like Mother Nature is sending us all to our rooms so we can think about what we've done.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, that cannot be more true, you know? Like, she's like, you need a timeout.
Yeah, that's
so,
really cool.
Yeah, I hope we really think hard about this timeout, you know?
How long do you think we're going to stay in it?
I think we're going to be in this lockdown for at least 3 more weeks to a month.
And you, how long are you going to stay?
In this, for my back.
How long are you going to stay in with your back at home?
I don't know, because now it's so crazy. Like, I don't know when I'm going to be able to go to the doctor. I don't know when I'm going to be able to get my follow-up CAT scans, because I'm so lucky that I got this surgery right before this outbreak, because I would not have been able to get it, because I'm not in critical condition. It would be considered an elective surgery. So all of my treatment, I'm assuming, is considered elective, and they don't want anybody going to the hospitals that shouldn't be going to the hospitals. So I was supposed to get my follow-up CAT scan in May 21st. But if I can't go in, and I can't go to physical therapy, and I can't figure out if I can work, if I can travel, and because I actually was told not to get on the subway weeks before everybody else was told not to get on the subway. I wasn't allowed to ride the subway. So I really have no idea. I applied for disability yesterday, which I was really resisting for a very long time, but now I just don't know when I'm going to be able to actually get treatment. So if anyone has any tips for getting on disability, let me know.
Well, I think it's also a big lesson for people in quarantine that are healthy and can't wait to get out.
I need to say one thing. I was talking to my friend yesterday, and she was just, saying about all these people complaining about not being able to go to their yoga class and this and that, which, okay, those are all real. But I just want people to think, to be stuck in your house and be someone like me, or someone going through something, like, I cannot bend, twist, or lift. I cannot make my own food. I can barely put on my own clothes. I can't get anything for myself. I can barely sit up and stand up. Like, think about, it could be so much worse. I really want people to, like, put their life in perspective, especially if you have a home that you feel safe going to, because I've thought a lot about the children where school is actually the safest place for them. And now they can't be there. Or the spouses or people that are being abused, and work was a safe place for them, and now they can't go there. So I really, really think people need to reflect when they're maybe complaining about certain things about this.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, Atlee, thank you so much for sharing all your information.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the other episodes of everybody.
Yeah, we have, I'm not going to reveal other secrets. Very interesting. I really advise you to watch.
Great.
There are some tips.
Great. I love it.
Quarantine.
Yes. Well, thank you so much.
Stay sane, stay healthy, and entertain yourself. We talk soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Bye. That was very beautiful and inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing with us, Atlee. Guys, appreciate life, be humble, stay honest, wash your hands, and zoom in for next episode.